This is my Zpacks Solplex tent, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I set it up. Let's go. Hello fellow hiker and world traveller, Russ here, bringing you the best tips and inspiration for hiking around the world. I have used the Zpacks Solplex tent for about a year now. I've been on about 30 overnight hikes with this thing. It's been a brilliant tent. I've just done a gear review video of it, so click the link here or click the link in the description to go and see the full review of this tent. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I set it up. To set this tent up, you will of course need one Zpacks Solplex tent, 2 adjustable trekking poles, or 2 specifically designed carbon fibre poles for this tent. This tent will set up with a minimum of 6 stakes, but you can put 8 on there for extra measure. These stakes that I use are just these very cheap OEX arrow style tent stakes. They're very cheap. I think they're about 6 or 7 quid. Can't actually remember, but they hold up very well. They're very strong. They've got these kind of pull tabs on the end so you can rip them out of the ground, and they've also got a little notch to keep your guy lines in place when things get a little bit windy. Okay, so the first thing that I do when I'm out on trail and I found a camp spot that I really want to stay in is I get my tent stakes, stick them in my pocket of my shorts, and then I get the back tent pole and I put it roughly about where I want to put it. And then I get the front tent pole and I put that down on the ground roughly where I want to put the tent at the front as well. This basically means now that I've got everything I need to hand, my stakes are in my pocket, I can just go around, put the guy lines out, and everything's there when I need it. Well, I'm just going to adjust the camera now and then I'll be able to show you exactly how it's done. Okay, so while I'm running through this video, I'm going to give you some very helpful tips when setting up a tent like this. I know they don't sell the Zpacks Solplex anymore, but there are a lot of tents out there that follow this design of this class, so I hope these tips help you as well. Zpacks Solplex comes in this really nice Dyneema pouch. You just got to undo the line lock adjuster, split it open, and there you go, that's the tent inside. Now this can scrunch up really nice and small, and you can just stick it in your pocket, no problem. And that's basically the tent. There's one extra item in there which I'm going to show you just now. So if I unroll the tent and I take this out, you'll see inside what I have is this, which is called a polycryo ground sheet. You can find these on Amazon. They're about 6 to 10 quid. Can't remember the exact price, but basically it's just a thin piece of plastic that you use to laminate windows with, and you heat gun it, and it's supposed to protect the glass or something like that, but it works out as a very cheap, very lightweight ground sheet, which is perfect for a DCF tent like this, and I'll explain why. So let's take the ground sheet. I usually leave it kind of like half folded like this, just so that it's covering about the length of most of the weight of my body on the ground sheet. Wind can sometimes be an issue, but hey, we're going to carry on. Move the tent over like this, lay that on the ground. That's all I do. Some people have it completely splayed out. I just have it where it's going to be directly under my torso, where most of the weight's going to be, just to protect the bottom of the tent. When you unroll the Zpacks Solplex, the silver side is the ground sheet. We're going to have that on top of that bit first. You'll be able to tell which part is the front of the tent because on the Solplex it's got this cool little pouch where you can stuff all of your most important need to reach items in there. And also the front pole cup is the largest one, and it's got the long guy line that comes to the front. So we're just going to straighten out the tent, make sure the tent's ground sheet is directly above the polycryo sheet. And the next step is to stake out just the 4 corners of the tent. Don't worry about how tight it is right now, I'll show you how to adjust it in just a second. Very simple. Quick tip is you don't actually have to have the stakes stuck right in at this stage, because you're going to be adjusting it in just a second anyway. So that's the 4 stakes in around the corners. Then you get the largest carbon fibre pole, which is this one. I tend to use the carbon fibre poles over the trekking poles because I only used 1 trekking pole. I don't like carrying 2, and these are much lighter than trekking poles anyway, so I'm saving weight and it just works for me. So now what you do is you get this carbon fibre pole and you put it in the front pole cup, just like so. And what you got to do is be very careful that you don't put the pole in front of the mesh and then budge the mesh up into there, because when you get in the tent you'll think it's all fine and dandy, you'll sit down and you'll just put a hole straight through this mesh, just like I did. As you can see, this pole is at a little bit of a backward facing angle. We actually want it in a very slight angle the other way, with the bottom of the pole kind of more towards the inside of the tent. So the best way, now I've put the guy lines and staked them down, is to actually reach down here very slightly, just adjust the cord just like that until it's got enough give to get that pole and put it right there, and now that's pretty much, with a bit of luck, that's pretty much it. So now we've got this pole in, and these two guy lines are pretty much staked down and they're at the right tension. We just get our front one and then stake this down there. You want this front one to be at pretty much a 45-degree angle. Okay, so that's the front of the tent and the 4 corners done. Let's bring you around the back. There we go, plonk you down there, hope you're comfy. Okay, so the next carbon fibre pole to put in is the rear one. I've actually lost the nib on the back of that one, so I always just tend to put that one in the ground and the one with the little protective nib on the top. Now my biggest tip that I can give you to make sure that you don't do it yourself is to make sure that the mesh, the bug mesh on the inside isn't actually over the pole when it goes in, because when you come into the tent and you sit down, you'll do exactly what I did and hear a massive snap, and you'll realise that you put an entire massive hole straight through your bug mesh, and you just don't want to be doing that. It was such a schoolboy error. But okay, the way that I do that is I basically roll up the back of the tent just like this, and then I make sure that the pole cup at the top here isn't obstructed by any of the mesh or any other part of the tent. Very gently put the pole in, and then make sure that the bottom is a little bit further in than the top, just like that. Make sure that the pole is lined up with this back seam, and you're good to go with staking out this rear guy. It's starting to look like a real home now. So that's the front, the back, and all of the 4 corners staked out. So now what I usually do is just do a quick whip around the tent and make sure that all of the stakes are properly in, do some adjustments, roll out all of the creases, and you end up with what looks like a bit of a spaceshipy, weird looking contraption. It's so cool once it's all done, so I'm just going to do that now. And you'll see once I've made all of these adjustments, it starts to look really solid, and I'll show you how solid it is once it's all done. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you what's kind of going on here, because you usually end up setting up this part of the tent and these are like kind of too close or something like that, so you end up having to just remove one of the stakes. That's why you don't push the stake all the way in when you first put the guys out, so that when you come around you can actually pull these apart. You can kind of take all of the creases out of the tent and make sure that it's really nice and origami looking. So you can see, like, this is kind of raised off the floor. Really, this could kind of do with coming in this way a little bit. So we'll take the guy out and then we'll kind of just adjust it like that. Make sure that the corner of this isn't really kind of looking too creased, so it's nice and exact at the right angle. And you stick your stick in just like that. Here we go, push with the shoe. And then can you see that that kind of edge has got a really nice simple curve. Now can you see this kind of edge of the tent is a little bit flippy flappy, and we'll kind of sort that out by just tightening this bit down, just like that. And then going back to this one, tightening that one even more. There you go, now that's looking even straighter now. Okay, so this front left guy line was actually a little bit long for me, so I'm just going to shorten it, taking out the stake, put it back in the ground, pull it back at the 45-degree angle, pull it tight. Now it's actually really surprising how strong DCF fabric is, and I'll tell you what, don't be nervous about really making this thing tight, because it's built to take a lot of tension. They don't call it a tension tent for nothing. Take you around, next one, just this guy, nice and taut. Back around the back of the tent. Can you see all down there? It's still a little bit loose. We kind of want that to be a bit tighter, a little bit like this side. I'm just going to remove this stake. There you go. Pull it back even further. You get a really nice straight line, and then pull that down even further. And then boom. Can you see how rigid this thing's getting now? It's starting to feel like a proper tent. It is a proper tent. Okay, so now that's the back one stake down. Got to go back around the front. Got this front pole at a really nice slight angle. I'm going to put the stake back in the ground a little bit closer. What you have here is basically like a little set of hooks, and they are on their own little kind of adjuster here. And all you have to do is get the storm door, hook it through like that, and then pull the guy. And there's the storm door. Give this one a little bit more of a hinge. This one here could do with a little bit more, and this one. Okay, so that's the first storm door done. Now it's time to get the other storm door out. Just get this little toggle, unravel it, and then there should be a little hook on the end. Pull that tight. Boom. Also got another little toggle here for keeping the storm door shut and everything in your vestibule dry. So now that's pretty much all the main guys out. That's the 6 that you really need. Now if it's pretty wet and wild out there and you want a little bit more security with your tent, then you've got 2 more guys that you can stake down on the side, so I'll show you those now. Okay, so here's the first one. These ones I usually have a little bit longer, and I always just keep the guy line roughly the same length. There you go, pull that one tight. Now for the last skyline. Nice and easy. Last tent stake, straight in the ground. You want to kind of make sure there's no creases, maybe a little bit longer. So there you go, that's how you set up the Zpacks Solplex. Yes, they don't make it anymore, but there's plenty of tents out there that follow a very similar design. Whether they're knockoffs or not, I couldn't tell you. What I do is at the end, just adjust the polycryo ground sheet that's directly underneath the ground sheet of the tent. When I'm sleeping on it, just gives you a little bit of extra protection against things that are on the ground. Couple of top tips for when you're dismantling this tent. Do not forget to do up the rainbow door when you're done with the tent before you start folding it up. Just because if you forget to do that, and the next time you set it up and there's a lot of bugs everywhere, they're just gonna all fly in. I made the same mistake when I first took it out on the South Downs Way. When you're dismantling the tent, instead of folding it lengthways loads, so it's a one long strip before rolling it up, just fold it once and then fold it twice and then start rolling it up. And then you'll actually get a much better fit back into the dry bag. Again, if you want to see the full review of this tent, then click the link in the description or in the card above. There should be one right there. I've also got a video coming up, if it's not already there, about all of my sleep system, how I sleep, what my sleeping habits and my sleeping position is like. So you'll be able to jump straight into bed with me. That will be a very good experience. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you in the next one.